If you are thinking of starting an e-commerce business, or you are thinking of changing your visual branding and you have no idea how the hell to get started, you are in the right place. So in this video, we're gonna walk through a few simple ways that you can get started on your visual branding. So logo, colors, fonts, personality, that kind of thing. And then we're gonna talk through if you should be DIYing this and then simple steps to DIY, or if you're ready to hire a professional. So if you are new or you're trying to grow your business and you're just wanting to learn more about visual branding, you are in the right spot. And if we've not met, my name is Kerrie Fitzgerald. What's up, guys? And I'm an e-commerce mentor, educator, consultant, strategist, and your best friend in the e-commerce world. All right, let's dive into it. So the first thing when it comes to visual branding, and we're gonna try to break this down in a really easy way, but make it a little bit fun. So when it comes to your visual branding, the first thing that I wanna start off with is just a quote from Jeff Bezos. So he's obviously the founder and former CEO of Amazon. And he says, your brand is what other people say about you when you're not in the room. And I always love that quote because that is what your visual branding will do with your brand. It's really important that you make your visual branding stand out against competitors. And a lot of you, what you do is you start a business and you're like, okay, here are my 10 competitors that I have, and you just run and copy what they're doing. And I really don't want you to do that. I want you to think, how do I make my brand stand out against all the other idiots in my space? And you can do that with your visual branding, your packaging, your colors, your fonts, your logo, that kind of thing. But the first thing I want you to do, and sit down right now or whenever you're gonna get working on this, define your brand personality. What is your brand's personality? So picture an actual human, and that's your business right now. What kind of personality do they have? Are they quiet? Are they serious? Are they funny? Are they silly? Are they fancy? Are they super energetic? Like, choose an adjective that describes what your brand will be, and then everything else that we talk about will kind of funnel into place here. But it's really important that you start things off with choosing an adjective that will be your brand's personality. And this will completely relate to the colors and the fonts, which we're gonna get to in a second. So just literally make a list. And if you're not sure, look up adjectives on Google. Google just personality adjectives and see what will come up for you. And that's gonna get you started. So that's your first step. And then I just want to go through a couple examples so you maybe understand what I'm talking about here. So if you look at the brand Maddle Paddleboard, so I'm a little bit or a lot obsessed with them. If you listen to my podcast, the Six Figure Product Business Podcast, I use them as examples for everything because I think they're geniuses. They have a really great product, but their marketing and messaging is on point. So if you look at their website, everything is bright and colorful and vibrant. And it's like you go to their website and it's like you feel the energy from the page. And that's what you want to do for your business. When someone goes to your website or finds you on social media, you want them to feel an emotion. And Maddleboards, again, does that through their colors, their messaging, their product photography, the fonts, everything is bright and colorful. So you feel that when you go to their website. And then if we look at, for example, at a brand like a Facebook. So Facebook is blue, all their branding colors are blue. And we're gonna talk about color psychology in a second here, but blue evokes a sense of trust. So if you are a company where you really need people to trust you, you might not wanna have the crazy yellows and reds and oranges, which evokes a different emotion, which I kind of just talked about. And then for example, if you look at Red Bull, so Red Bull is kind of the same thing. It has bold colors. There's all these cartoons. It's very energetic. So when you look at their stuff, their branding, their products, you kind of get that energetic vibe from them. So you want to choose an adjective that will describe your brand and what you want people to feel when they discover you. And that leads me into the second thing, which is color psychology. So when you're coming up with your colors for your brand, and I know a lot of you are struggling with this because I hear you telling me all the time, you really want to think of, again, the emotion. When someone discovers you, when someone buys your product, when someone lands on your website, what emotion or feeling do you want them to feel? And that's going to happen through your colors. So just as a few examples, orange. If you look up color psychology, orange evokes a sense of energy. So if you look up brands that have orange colors, they're oftentimes like energetic type brands. Blue we talked about earlier with the Facebook example, but blue evokes a sense of trust, which is why a lot of banks and things like that will always have blue as one of their main primary colors on their website. Another example is purple. So purple is the color of royalty. So a lot of higher end brands will have purple or black as their brand colors because that's more of like a luxurious royal type of color. And then one more example is green. So you can probably assume what green's gonna be, but green, a lot of health and wellness, natural brands like soothing and meditation companies will use green as their color because that's a sense of calming, nurturing, nature and things like that. So your colors really do matter. It's not just about what you want as your brand colors. There's actually psychological things that happen to people's brains when they see a certain color. So you want to really consider that when you're coming up with your brand colors. And we're gonna go through some exercises of what you can do to choose your colors, but first I wanna just go through some of the logistics of the why. Like, why do you have to be aware of the colors when you're choosing them? And then the next things you're gonna wanna start looking into are fonts. So fonts are really important part of coming up with your visual branding. A bad font will ruin everything. There's a book called Fonts Matter, and I haven't read it. I've heard about it, and they really do matter. So when it comes to fonts, you want to choose just a couple. A lot of you will go into Canva and you're like, oh, I'm gonna choose 7 fonts for my website. And that's just too many. So when it comes to visual branding, you're really just meant to choose 1 to 2 main fonts and then maybe 1 more additional font for like text and paragraphs. But the rules for visual branding are generally going to be a header. So like the big text on your website is going to be 1 font. Then maybe subheaders or paragraphs will be another font. And then you could maybe have 1 additional font that's like a special font or something like a script font or something fun that you sprinkle in. It is not meant to overpower the other 2. So 2 main fonts and then 1 sprinkled in, used sparingly, maybe fun or script font depending on what your business is. But you can totally just have 2 fonts. Less is more. Less is more when it comes to your fonts, because otherwise it looks very overwhelming. It can look really messy. And take note of websites that you really like. Like go through them and just think like, okay, do I love that font or this font? And like, why? Why do I like those fonts? And then the last part of the visual branding that we're gonna cover today is your logo. So I am someone who thinks logos are very overrated. That's just my opinion. When I started my first product-based business, I literally hired someone from Fiverr.com. I think she was based in Indonesia. And she made me a really cool logo that I used for the entire 3 years that I had my product-based business before I sold it in 2019. And I want to say my logo cost me $15. So I'm not saying that you have to go with a cheap logo. However, I think logos are overrated 100%. So unless you are making really consistent, solid revenue coming in. So I'm definitely of the camp where I think logos are a little bit overrated. So you want to sort of, figure out on your own how much you're willing to invest on a logo. How I usually advise my clients or students is that if you are a business that you're making consistent money, you really understand your ideal customer, and you started off maybe with a simple logo and now you're ready to kind of lean into something bigger and better, I think that's where and when you want to start investing a little bit more money into a logo or even your visual branding. Honestly, I see a lot of you who start your business and you go find a branding person and you're investing, you know, $2,000, $3,000 to get a logo, and you don't even know you don't even really know who your ideal customer is. And I guarantee you, if your business is brand new, then your ideal customer probably will change. And then you're gonna have to do your branding again over at some point. So I just think it's a waste of money, honestly. I really feel like you can go super simple with a logo and either find someone off of Fiverr or Upwork, maybe a couple $100, and just get something simple that you can start off with that looks good. It represents your brand and all that, but it's taking the more simple route here. So if you're looking to DIY your branding, so you have an idea of your colors, you have an idea maybe of this visual personality that you're wanting to portray with your business, how do you get started in an easy way? So the first thing I want you to do is go over to Pinterest. Go over to Pinterest. If you don't have an account, set up a business account because you're going to want to do that later anyway. And I want you to create a folder in Pinterest and save it as a private folder or a private board, sorry. And then what I want you to do is I want you just to start looking up photos and images of branding. So you can look up different colors, different font ideas, put in like visual branding examples for a fun personality packed brand or something like that. And just start saving anything that you like, anything visually that speaks to you or that you like, whether it's colors, fonts, website examples, anything, packaging ideas, anything that you like, save it to your folder. Because that folder is like your inspiration folder, and that's gonna help guide you on which colors and fonts and kind of things that you actually end up choosing. So that's the first step that you wanna do. The second step is once you have something saved, I want you to go through that and start looking at what are things that I can see for my business? Like, which colors do I think maybe my ideal customer would really connect with? So remember, it's not about you, it's about your customer. And then really the next thing that you want to do is I want you to go into Pinterest again, and I want you to type in the words Showit, so SHOWIT, and then templates, and then start going through all the different pins of Showit website templates, because what that will do for you is you'll start looking at these sample websites and they have all the visual branding done for you. So they have all the colors and fonts because these brands are using Pinterest to essentially sell their website design services. So they create all these pins that showcase example websites, but they're branded, they have great colors, they have great fonts. So you can look at that and say, okay, you know what? I really love this orange color. And so I'm going to look at what this designer has put together, and maybe I can do something different, or something similar for my own brand. And you can start to get a sense of the colors that you really, really like and that you think your customers will connect with. So you can kind of go through that. And then you want to start looking at fonts, the same thing. Like, find some simple fonts that you think would work well with those colors and your brand.